Okay, everybody, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the second annual State of Cancer Caucus. I'm Hamilton County Commissioner Alicia Reese, and this is one of the initiatives that I brought forward, and we're going to hear from President Driehaus. I want to thank her and my colleagues for their support on this. The reason I thought this would be so important is because cancer has been an equal opportunity killer. It doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your zip code, doesn't matter your bank account. It has hit high and low, babies to senior citizens. And we came together as a county, as a state, and as a country when COVID hit. And we brought the brightest minds together to have a vaccination at a record number. I've never seen it be so quick. And a lot of people are alive today because of it. My goal is to have that same energy as we deal with cancer, the different types. Now, it hits me personally. My mother passed away at 57 years young. I watched her fight this cancer, breast cancer, for 12 years. And ultimately, I will have to say I want to thank the Barrett Center, because if it wasn't for the Barrett Center, I don't know if she would have made 12 days. So let's please give a big round of applause. And I watched my parents be a small business, having to go through trying to make sure they got the insurance, trying to make sure she got the care. And the whole time my mom was still booking. She had a banquet hall, her and my father. She still was booking people's weddings from the hospital bed. And when they call, the hospital would come in and she'll say, I have to call you back. My next appointment has arrived. But that kept her going, because she wanted to see people have wonderful weddings and events and receptions. And I said, well, Mom, they told you not to get stressed out. It's hard not to get stressed out when you have to deal with being a mom, a wife, and a business owner. And when you're a business owner, you don't do anything, you don't eat. So it wasn't like a check just comes in. And so I watched her go through chemotherapy, radiation, and then go into remission. I watched her lose her hair, and my mom, she's gonna make sure that she's gonna come out looking good now. She's gonna put a nice wig on and some outfits. But then I also saw when her hair grew back, she was happy. And then again, it came back. And she had to go through it again. And it was like, man, radiation, chemotherapy. My mother was in the hospital every Christmas time of year. We used to call it the tune-up. But then there was one year that it was more than the tune-up. Cancer had spread. I watched my father keep a business going, support his wife, and provide for a family. He would always say, we're gonna fight this thing. Let's keep fighting. And I think 12 years, when they said she probably would have only 12 days, was a heck of a fight. But in her memory and memories of so many others in your families that you've lost or been impacted or fighting cancer now, we owe it to them to not give up. So today in Hamilton County, we're calling Paint the County Pink. We're asking everybody to put on something pink, whether you're on the TV as a TV personality, or you're an elected official, or you're a municipality, or you're an organization like the Urban League, or just an individual that want to fight. Post your picture of yourself on your page at hashtag 513pink. In Hamilton County, it will be lit up pink, and I want to thank the following organizations who agreed to turn the facilities pink. FC Cincinnati will be pink tonight. Andrew Brady Music Center will be pink tonight. Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame will be pink tonight. Heritage Bank Arena will be pink tonight. And Great American Ballpark will be pink tonight. And of course, our courthouse will be pink tonight. Let's give them a big round of applause. So today our goal is going to be the state of cancer. We can't fight it if we don't know what numbers we have. We started it a year ago, and this is our second annual. We'll have what is the state of cancer. We'll look at our numbers. We'll show how do we compare to other counties, because our numbers are going up, and some other counties' numbers aren't going up. What do we need to do? And then there will be a call to action. We're not just looking at numbers and walk out the door. We'll have a fireside chat with doctors to talk about some of the questions that you all have sent to us and provided to us. We will then have a presentation to our breast cancer survivors that are in the room. Let's give them a big round of applause. We will have proclamations that we will be giving, declaring Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but we will give those proclamations to organizations who are out here on the ground, keeping the fight going. Let's give them a big round of applause. Law enforcement, everybody that is participating. And then when we get done with all of that, we go across the street to the 513 Relief Bus Expo for cancer. We're going to have free screenings. And our goal is to do more. We want to double our screenings. Let's give it up. At no cost. Amen. So that is going to be our call to action. Trevina Adams is here with the 513 Relief Bus. Let's give her a big round of applause. Food for the Soul has been providing food with our 513 Relief Bus. Let's please give them a big round of applause. And I want to briefly tell you about the 513 Relief Bus, and then I'm going to bring up President Driehaus, and we'll give remarks as well, and we will get started with the state of cancer. First of all, thank you to the Urban League. Give them a big round of applause. We got the Lincoln Ware Show live broadcast outside, so we want to make sure you touch base with him. We will have a picture at the end, so don't go anywhere. We got to show them that we're standing up, we're fighting. The 513 Relief Bus is an idea that came to me during the COVID time, and God gave me this idea that we needed a bus. And I want to thank Joe Mallory at the NAACP at that time. We were on because people weren't getting the vaccination in the Black community. Hampton University had a model, they had a bus. I said, I got to get down there. They had an RV. I went down there and saw the RV in the middle of, y'all remember coronavirus? COVID now. My health commissioners told me, don't wear no mask, wear the gloves. Now I'm down there, no mask, everything with gloves on. Thank God I did not get COVID. But went down there, I said, we got to bring this back. And so came back here and we created a bus, but it can't just be a one-time thing. This is a new way of doing business in Hamilton County. And I want to thank my colleagues. We moved forward with this bus because too many people were dying. On the bus, the back side is a medical clinic. The front side is economic help and partnerships. So you can get jobs on the bus. We can get you help on the bus. We can counsel you on the bus. We can connect you with counsel on aging on the bus. The bus has had almost 30,000 worth of services to the people throughout Hamilton County. Over 200 stops, multiple zip codes. We've been all over the county. I don't care if you in Harrison or Cleves or you in Avondale here in Cincinnati. The bus has come. And the bus is action. It is Hamilton County on wheels. We are a national model. No, and now others are trying to get a bus. They tried Franklin County. I saw them out. They looked at what we had, and they ain't got what we got. But they tried. They tried. Because we have helped so many people. People have come to that bus. A lady said, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. This was in Northgate. She said, I came back because I wanted to thank you all. And I said, oh man, we're gonna pray for you and everything. She said, I've never taken a dime of help in my life. I always pay my taxes. But I had to go through this process, and I wanted to make sure I don't lose my house. I want to make sure my kids can still have the quality of life they had. I came to the bus, they treated me with dignity, and I wasn't embarrassed. And she said, and I kept my house because you all had a program. And I was able to keep my kids going because you had a little program to help them. And she said, I'm coming back to say thank you. I said, well, I'm going to pray for you. She said, let me tell you, they got it. I said, they got what? She said, they got the cancer. I'm cancer free. Thank you so much. That's what's happening with that bus. So please don't leave here without going over there. And I want to thank UC Health. I think Chase is here and all the UC Health. Give them a big round of applause. They're one of our major partners on the bus. And we also have support with Mercy Health and Christ Hospital. We have done physicals on the bus so kids can go back to school at no cost on this bus. So we do a lot of medical stuff on the bus. We have great numbers. We have to track it. And y'all go to 513relief.org so that you can find out where the bus is next and what we're going to do. But today, the bus is focused on cancer. We're going to have screenings, mammograms. We've got prostate cancer screenings. And men don't get nervous. That's just your little finger right here. They poke this. I mean, I heard about it. I don't know about it. But you don't have to be afraid. We also going to be talking about pancreatic cancer. D'Angelo, R&B legend D'Angelo. It doesn't matter how good you can sing, how good you can dance. 51 years young, just announced, passed away from pancreatic cancer. So we're going to talk about that. How can we get the diagnosis early so we can fight it? Because usually you hear pancreatic cancer, they say, oh boy, it's over. But I'm hearing that it ain't over if we can get it early. So we're going to be talking about all those things. But I'm excited about this 513 Relief Bus and what it's been able to do. And $100 million in rental assistance, keeping people in their houses, getting jobs, young people getting jobs, physicals, back to school. I mean, Senior Citizen Day, helping senior citizens. I mean, this bus is tremendous. Give a big round of applause. Hamilton County #1 for mobile services. Now, I'm going to ask the president, the CEO is here, so we're in her house. Come on up here, Madam CEO. You sit right here. I'm going to ask the president of our Hamilton County Commission to come forward to give some remarks, and then we have to give official welcome because when you go to people's houses, you just can't go in and not get permission. The Urban League has been a great partner. So at this time, Commission President Denise Driehaus.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here, and thank you to Commissioner Reese for pulling this together. This is the second annual State of Cancer, and so, as Commissioner Reese said, a brainchild of herself to do a couple of things. And so we've all been touched by cancer. I mean, who in this community hasn't been touched by cancer? And so for me today, it's about remembering those that we have lost. I lost my grandma to cancer. And so we all have stories of loss and remembering those that fought cancer when they were alive. We are also reminding people that early detection is the key to all of this. And so I hope everyone in this room, whether you're a man or a woman, doesn't matter, you're getting your testing, if you can get an early diagnosis, you have a much better chance of surviving cancer. We've seen recently one of our colleagues, Bridget Kelly, passed away, and hers was a very late diagnosis, and she was young. So it is so important that we get those screenings because we are losing tremendous people in this community to not having that kind of testing available or not having the access by way of information to know that that is so important. And then lastly, we're celebrating. We're celebrating all of you that are cancer survivors or in the midst of treatment in this room, in this community. There are so many cancer survivors amongst us. My sister had breast cancer, and I remember she lives in Louisville. I went down a couple of times She's got kids, she's got a husband, but she needed a sister to come down and hang out for a minute and help out a little bit, maybe cook a meal or two. And so I went down, and she was struggling with radiation, with atrophy, with all the things, with hot flashes, you know, ladies, you know what I'm talking about, with all the things that come with the treatment for cancer. Now, she is a survivor. She was just up here last weekend. We went on a riverboat cruise with my mom. But, you know, so many of you in this room are survivors. I talked to one woman she's had cancer 4 times, and she's sitting right here. So, you know, treatment works, the remedies work. We just have to make sure that people have access to that information and to the testing itself. And so that, and Commissioner Reese, again, to your credit, we've got the 513 relief bus, which goes around and provides that kind of access to individuals in this community. So I just want to celebrate all of you, looking good from this vantage point, looking good. We've all got our pink on, most of us, commissioners. I don't know what happened over at this side of the room. Oh, he's got a pen. All right, go get yourself a pen. No, I'm going to give you a pass right now because you're the experts. But anyway, I want to celebrate with all of you. Congratulations on what you have been through. We are with you. We're here to support you. So thanks for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, President Driehaus. And let me say, all the things with the 513 relief bus is free. So we're talking about we're saving money to our residents because there's no copay and everything is free. You're talking about $2,000 just this year in medical services that we've been able to provide at no copay. So that's a big, big deal. This time I'd like to bring up, I want to thank her. She said she wasn't going to be able to make it. Her schedule said she's just so busy because she got to raise a lot of money, keep the urban league moving and grooving. And she said, I will rearrange my schedule to be here. So we don't have a slide for her, but she doesn't need one. Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of the Urban League of Southwest Ohio, Ms. Christy Caucus.
Thank you, Commissioner. She made me sound so important. I rearranged my schedule. No, I have my husband do kid drop off. I have young kids, so my schedule is usually my 2 kids. I wanted to make sure that I was here. I too, like everyone in this room, have been touched in a very personal way by some losses to cancer, and I think it's really important that we continue to put the spotlight on fighting this and on lifting up the survivors in our community. And the Urban League is going to stand strong in that fight. And we are very grateful that the county is putting this kind of spotlight on fighting in this region. So thank you so very much, and I look forward to the rest of the program.
Thank you very much. I forgot. Chloe and Kai, they run her house. So two little ones. We love them. Okay. We are now going to get the information because we can't fight anything if we don't have the information. Our presentation on the state of cancer, where we are. Dr. Melinda Bushka Vasi. Did I say it? Bushka Vasi. Did I say it quick enough? Okay, I'm gonna call her Dr. Melinda. Dr. Melinda, she's a passionate epidemiologist and public health researcher who has partnered with community organizations over the last 14 years to promote health and increase health literacy. As the Associate Director for Community Outreach and Engagement at the University of Cincinnati Cancer Center, which is a partner with the 513 Relief Bus, Dr. Melinda is on a mission to reduce the burden of cancer across Cincinnati area and to diminish the disparities observed in the city's under-resourced communities. Her team's cancer outreach program commonly leverages engaging graphic style stories that were co-created with her 20+ member community academic partnership to be read aloud with outreach program attendees as the story characters. Indeed, her We Engage for Health Cancer Stories highlight the signs and symptoms of cancer, the importance of cancer screening, and the primary care in detecting cancer early when it is most treatable, and the purpose and value of research participation to the local community. In September, Dr. Melinda's team held their first Healthy Together community stakeholder retreat to share the Cancer Center's priorities and partner with the community organizations to identify strategies to make progress on each. The Cancer Center's new data dashboard was also shared. This is big, a dashboard. Please welcome, to give our state of cancer, Dr. Melinda.
So as she said, my name is Melinda. You can just call me Dr. Melinda. All right, my students call me Dr. VK. We sing the song, Dr. VK. They can't say my name. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me back. Thank you, commissioners and health commissioners, for having me as well. I really think it's important that we share data, because if you don't know what you're fighting, you can't figure out how to fight it. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. She shared that Commissioner Reed said that I was an epidemiologist. So we study the frequency and distribution of disease, and one of the studies I'm on right now is on breast cancer. We're using EPIC data, EMR data, electronic medical record data, to look at the neighborhoods in Cincinnati. So a lot of the data I'm going to show today is bigger at the county level, but we want to get down and really get into the neighborhood level. So that's what I'm working on right now. So that maybe next year I can come back and tell you about the neighborhoods. So go ahead. So I always like to start with what cancer is, because when I go into the community, I found that most people don't really know what cancer is. I went to South Fairmont and we were working with children, and I said, what do you think cancer is? And the little boy said, it's a disease that makes your hair fall out. And I said, well, that's sort of right. A lot of times when you have treatment for cancer, you do lose your hair, but that's not what cancer is. And I explained to him that we had at least 1 trillion cells in our body, and those cells sometimes are supposed to live, and sometimes they're supposed to die because they have a lifespan. And so when they don't die, that's a problem. You want them to die, because when they die, they get replenished with new, healthier cells. And so what cancer really is the uncontrolled cell growth. So we try to teach everybody, it's uncontrolled cell growth. And I did this with our Community Research Advisory Board, and so many people said, I never knew that. I never knew that it really was uncontrolled cell growth. So now you guys all know that. Make sure you tell your children, make sure you tell your family, it's uncontrolled cell growth. Next slide. So the cool thing about this is that you really, if you're gonna try to find cancer, you wanna find it when it's small. And so screening is a great way to detect it and do something about it. But there's 28 different kinds of cancers, and there's not a cancer screening for every type of cancer. Not a common screening anyway. So we know mammography, prostate cancer screenings, colon cancer. There's some cancers that have cancer screenings that are pretty common. Other types of cancers, they're a little bit harder to detect because they don't have common screenings. So we want everyone to get screened. But when I go into the community and talk about screening, people say, well, I have cancer and I can't do anything about it, so why bother? And that's just simply not true. We just heard from several people who said that they survived cancer, their family members survived cancer. So finding it early really is important. Next slide. So there's stages of cancer, and I've asked people all the time, how do you understand the stage of cancer? Well, basically cancer starts early, small, and it gets bigger, bigger, and bigger. So when it gets bigger, there's symptoms. At these smaller stages, there's not very many symptoms, or there be no symptoms at all. But some of our tools to detect cancer can find it when they're small, before they even have symptoms. And that's when we want to find it. So when we recommend that you guys get screened, we want you to go because we want to find cancer when it's small, when it's easier to treat and often easier to cure. And so screenings can do that. Next slide. So cancer in the state of Ohio is the second leading cause of death. And I've heard from the commissioners that in the county of Hamilton, that it's like the 5th leading cause of death because there are 2 other things that kind of feed it. But overall, the state of Ohio, it's the second leading cause of death. Next slide. So the UC Cancer Center, we'll need to talk closer. Okay. You guys can hear me okay?
No.
Sure.
No, we can't hear.
I move around so much. That's the problem. So in the Rivers and Cincinnati Cancer Center, we focus on 10 counties. Hamilton is the most populated county of those 10 counties. And we do that because 85% of the people that come to UC Health is from those 85, or from those 10 counties, 85%. But because my job is, I'm not actually working for UC Health, I actually am affiliated with UC Health, I actually care about people regardless of what healthcare system they go to. My goal is to reduce the burden. I don't care if you go to some other health system. You can go to Mercy, you can go to St. Elizabeth. I care about trying to help you get the information you need to prevent cancer and to find cancer early. And so when we look at the cancers in our area, breast cancer is one of our top cancers, as well as prostate cancer. And then you have colon and colon and rectal. Thank you. Can you hear me better? Oh, this is so much better. Thank you. Because there's an echo on this. That's what I was having a hard time. Anyway, so we have a lot of cancer in our area. It's pretty high. Let's go to the next slide. So in Hamilton County, we measure cancer by incidence, that's the new cancer cases, and mortality, that's cancer deaths. And we do it per 100,000 people. So you can see here that Hamilton County has pretty high cancer rates overall relative to the state of Ohio and to the US. Next slide. And when you look at different populations within our county, we can see that it varies by county. And for breast cancer, the incidence rate's pretty equitable between Caucasian populations and African American populations. But you can see for breast cancer, the mortality is higher for African American populations. So we have some work to do. We have to figure out why this is. Next slide. So there are many different risk factors for cancer. And obviously, we have an obesity epidemic going on. Weight is an issue. Current smoking is an issue. We have a pretty high percentage of smoking. Those are two things that are pretty big reasons why cancer is prevalent in some areas over other areas. Next one. So what about screening rates? So we do pretty well with screening here overall, but that doesn't, just because you've had a screening in the past doesn't mean you're getting them at the recommended frequency. For example, depending on your age, you should be getting annual mammograms, and not everybody does an annual mammogram. And colorectal screenings, a lot of people are afraid of colorectal screenings. They don't want to go through the procedures. The prep is kind of challenging, right? I don't like it. I had my first one this past year. Not so fun. But I know that it's really important because once you do it once for colorectal cancer, for example, and you get cleared, you clear for 10 years. You don't have to do it again for 10 years. If they find a polyp, then they say come back in 3 years typically. The cool thing about some of these cancer screenings, cervical cancer and colorectal cancer, is they don't just detect cancer, they detect precursors to cancer because before they even become cancer. So polyps are precancers, they're not cancers yet. And so if you can go get a colorectal screening, then you can often get it before you even actually get cancer. And most people don't realize that. So there's blood tests for colorectal cancer. There's even that Cologuard, which are fine, but they don't do the same thing as a colonoscopy does. They don't necessarily they're not treating the cancer while detecting the cancer. That's pretty cool. Next slide. So there's one thing I wanted to bring up this year. I didn't talk about this last year, but House Bill 371 was passed in 2022. And the really great thing about House Bill 371, Michelle Young was working with Ann Brown at UC Health to really try to get this passed, is that it really reduced the age of people's ability to get a cancer screen for mammography and to 25. It actually allowed for supplemental screenings, MRI and ultrasound. And that's because they are better tools to detect cancer in women with dense breast tissue. Do you guys know what dense breast tissue is? So you have different levels of fatty tissue in your breast, and it's harder to see cancer when you have dense breasts. So the cool thing about this bill is that it kind of forces the insurance companies to cover people screenings, and that's awesome. So I applaud her, and they're really trying to work on this at the national level too. So if you don't know about this, and if your doctor doesn't know about it, you need to have a conversation with your doctor. So I don't know that every doctor really recognizes that this bill is going into play. I live in Northern Kentucky, and my doctor knows nothing about this and never recommends MRI for anything. And I've had dense breasts, so I had to push him and advocate for myself to get the dense breast, the MRI treatment. Next slide. So what can you do? Obviously, we're gonna have a conversation today, and we'll hear from some of our experts in the county. But at the University of Cincinnati, we have a listserv for communities, and we have a quarterly newsletter. You can check out our newsletter. We also have a speakers network. So if you have a community event and you want us to come out, we can bring someone from our faculty, and we can train them so they speak with you, not at you. So they don't like put a lot of stuff up that you don't understand. They'll actually be able to have a conversation with you. And Zoe back there is the person who's kind of leads that effort. So if you need someone to come and talk to your effort, then please let us know. Also, we really want you to get your cancer screenings. I mean, the 513 bus has been a great partner. And so we really appreciate when people are advocating for themselves and we're really working to get those screenings. And of course, the one thing that Commissioner Reese said, I keep calling you doctor, you're supposed to be a doctor, is that we have a stakeholder retreat. So last year, she mentioned the stakeholder retreat. We had that last year in September. This year, we're having it in December. So if you'd like to come to our stakeholder retreat, we're welcome you to attend. If you go to our website, we have some information about our stakeholder retreat. It is December 10th, and it starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. So we welcome you. And with that, thank you.
Can we go back to that screen that had the different types of cancers that are big?
One more.
Or more?
These are the top cancers. So right there on the right is the top cancers in the county. And this is pretty common for the rest of the United States. I mean, we're not that different from other cancer places.
And then you talked about our rates based on the state as it compares to the state. We're higher. Can you go to that slide again?
That's this one.
Oh, that's right here.
So you see we're looking at cancer incidence for breast cancer at 141. In Ohio, it's 133. So we're substantially higher. And cancer mortality is 20.4 versus 20.2. The US, you can see 141 versus 129.9. That's per 100,000 people. So you can see that we are higher for breast cancer. It's the same for overall cancer as well.
So you can see we have a lot of work to do. I mean, this is alarming here, and why we have that. So at this time, we're going to go over to the fireside chat, bring the experts up. I don't want you to go anywhere. Come on over there with us. And we've got a couple of questions from the experts, and we have our, I found my notes here somewhere. We have our health commissioner for the county and the city. Give him a big round of applause. Dr. Melvin, on up. I have to add a chair. And radar, these are my questions. Where? All right here. Okay. Well, we're gonna pass these mics around because now we're into the call of action. One, we know our rates are higher than the national average. We've got questions. I'm gonna ask everybody to just go around and briefly introduce yourself so everyone knows who you are. Maybe you're gonna pass that mic on that side, and then I'll give this mic on.
All right, thanks. My name's Grant Mussman. I'm a pediatrician and commissioner of health for the city of Cincinnati.
Good morning, Greg Kesterman, Health Commissioner for Hamilton County Public Health.
Keith Melvin with Mercy Health.
Dr. Beth Shaughnessy at UC.
Make sure that's what.
Beth Shaughnessy at UC. I'm currently the Cancer Survivorship Director previous breast surgeon and cancer survivor.
Okay, we're gonna start off with this. We just saw the alarming numbers of Hamilton County being higher than the national and state numbers. Why is that? There's someone who wants to jump in. I guess we'll start with our health commissioners. Why is that? Obviously, if you break it down probably by neighborhood, which we will have next year, why is the number so high in Hamilton County?
I can start with just reiterating the importance of early detection and screening. And so every person should take advantage of opportunities like today and get themselves screened. In addition, we heard of a couple of precursors or a couple of health factors that can impact whether or not you are more likely to develop cancer. One of them is obesity and another one is smoking. In addition, there's different careers where you are exposed to volatile organic compounds and other chemicals that can make you more predisposed. So if you are doing higher risk activities, if you're overweight, if you are currently smoking or have smoked in your life, I would strongly encourage folks to take advantage of pre-screening so that you can detect cancer early and prevent becoming another statistic and part of the mortality rate.
Thanks, Greg. I'll add to that. In Cincinnati, we have some unique challenges in that we have a high variation in mortality between our neighborhoods. And we know that there are some neighborhoods that are increasingly impacted by cancer mortality. I don't know that that's the entire explanation, but part of the explanation is that we have areas where there's a lot of potentially preventable death from cancer because of that variation, because of all the reasons we talked about in public health, barriers to care, lifestyle, I guess, and all the modifiable risk factors that we talked about.
I also think that people don't always know their family histories. They don't always talk to their families and feel comfortable asking questions of their families. And so knowing your family history is really important. You may actually need to be screened earlier than what is recommended depending on your family history. For example, if your parent or sibling has breast cancer, you may want to get screened at age 30 instead of age 40. So family history is important. And also, there's other things in the home that can also cause cancers and it's less known about. Radon, for example, and asbestos. And some of the older homes may have those things. So, knowing what's in your home as well is really important.
And we talked a lot about what causes cancer, but we can also talk a lot about what can help you prevent it or reduce your risk. And one of the things I do observe of all of us over the time is that with time, because of convenience and TVs and video, that we spend a lot of time at home, in front of the TV, in front of the screen. It makes it much more convenient. What we're not doing is we're not exercising. Exercise can reduce your cancer risk for breast cancer by 50% if you do it on a regular basis. We're not talking really big things. We're talking about walking vigorously for a half hour, 5 times a week. And diet is also another huge impact because those foods that have a higher sugar content, and believe it or not, breads and cereals do too, are things that can increase that risk. So you want to do something with more vegetables, what they call the Mediterranean diet.
I've been hearing a lot about that Mediterranean diet. Dr. Velman, what are some of, I know they said exercise and diet, but some of these things are hereditary as well. And because I know some people that were running and eating right, and they still somehow got cancer. So can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Well, certainly, Alicia, and clearly, and I'm a prostate cancer survivor. I didn't know it was in my family because, of course, like most of us, I hadn't even been asking any questions. And people have a concept in their mind that what you don't know won't hurt you. What you don't know will hurt you. But I've learned now, Alicia, to exercise more, eat better. I've been talking to you. I'm Alicia's personal physician. I've been talking to you about the different kind of smoothies to eat early in the morning to get you a nice start. We should break our fast with the proper foods and so forth. But I just want to say that about our cancers, it's terrible in some of our communities that we have an attitude of not wanting to know about things. And so we avoid finding out. And, I have my Black and White Cancer Survivor Foundation, and we have our events coming up. But the interesting thing is that I've been all over the city doing all types of prostate cancer programs. There's some guys out here now that was with us at UC, where we did the Strong Men, Strong Future program. There were only it was at a beautiful place. We had food and everything. It was just last month. There were about 40 people there. 10 people were volunteers, and 29 of the men that were there were already prostate cancer survivors. So once again, we were preaching to the choir. And that's the disturbing part for me. And so it said we have to continue to keep pushing and pushing to get people to be willing to come out and get information. And then, of course, in order for you to impart information to people in the community, you actually have to provide food and fun and resources to get them to come out, because we just haven't been interested in finding out if there's anything wrong with us. And then the men, just the other day, a guy came into the clinic where we all are with my resident doctors, and he said, doctor, I am not coming back because every time you come to the doctor, they find something wrong with you. And I thought, that's the interesting thing. I thought that's why you came. And first of all, if we find it early, clearly, no matter what the disease is, early detection matters. But it's just this concept that we have to get past. Now, I'm talking about the men, but I'm not allowing the ladies to get away with it either, because they have some of those same concepts.
Absolutely. So let's talk about how we communicate to people, because it is true. People say, I'm not looking for a problem, and we're promoting early detection. So how do we, as the song in the wind said, don't nobody bring me no bad news. So they go to the doctor and they kind of get nervous that I'm going to get something bad. How do we promote screenings, because that's our call to action, more screenings. We want to make them available where you may not have to go into the doctor's office. We're going to bring the doctor's office to you mobily in your community. And then if we see something, obviously there will be more. But how do we communicate that? Dr. K, you talk about your stakeholders, groups and so forth. How do we communicate? Doctor's right. I mean, people say, man, I'm not trying to find something wrong. How do we break down that barrier?
We're trying really hard to work with the community. So that means going and partnering with organizations that are already trusted by communities. And so by working with them, and training them on how to have conversations with communities, they can get the word out. It can't be all on us. The community has to have buy-in. They have to be supporting it. We have Jackie Humphreys here. She is somebody that we trained early on, and she's been, you might have seen her in the community. She's at all these different events. She does it because she loves it, and she really wants to make a difference in her community. And so that's, we call them cultural insiders, trusted messengers. We need to have more people within the community that's willing to, speak out and encourage screening, encourage prevention, and just get the information. Providing education is critical. If you don't know what can hurt you, you won't do anything about it. So trying to get that education is really critical. And so our stakeholder retreat, last year we did it as a first time, and we had about, I think it was almost 70 people there. And we talked about screening. We talked about the different programs we had. This year we're going to talk about screening again, but we're also going to talk about how research can impact programming in the community and how the community can actually impact research to improve outcomes for people. When you come into the hospital and you have cancer, sometimes research is a great option because you can get high quality care, you can get innovation that you can't get anywhere else. So research could be an option for some people.
I think that's important because we got to be able to communicate to people properly because they are afraid. I remember when the 513 relief bus came to Avondale for the first time, a wife brought her husband, but we had they needed some rental assistance too. So he came for that and we were there and he was scared of needles. And then she finally convinced him because it was convenient. And then he ran out of the bus screaming, "It didn't hurt. Put me on TV. Everyone should get this." So breaking down those barriers are very important. Now, I host a show called Alicia Reese Soul Food, and we do break it down to collard greens and cornbread so people can understand it. Food for the soul. Let's talk about these clinical trials because there are myths out there. I won't say myths. There's history out there that people are concerned, but you talked about we need more research, we need more clinical trials. That's the only way we're going to find out what works. Commissioner, I mean, what do we need to be looking at as it relates to, obviously our rates are up. We need to find out how to get them down.
So I think there's a lot of role for clinical trials in understanding the science of cancer. As a public health department, we're not so involved in the science of cancer aspect, but we do look at the community. And things we don't understand in the community are what are the specific barriers in each community? How do we link that to why people are dying at a outsized rate in different communities? And I think that's a big part of the research gap, is not understanding something new about the science, although there is a lot new that we need to understand, but also how do we apply the science that we know reliably across our entire city and not just in some spots.
Commissioner Kesterman, food is an issue. Someone wanted me to ask, is it the environment? We hear about environmental ideas and so forth. But sometimes we hear it kind of like, we want to go green. And a lot of people say, well, green for me is greenbacks. But we want to go green, but we don't talk about how some of this stuff affects the food does it affect us with the cancer?
So food affects so many things about our own lives. And I would, I know with the economy getting tough, I know buying food is getting harder and harder. But the more opportunity we take to buy fruits and vegetables and other whole grain products, the better off we are, not just from preventing cancers and things of that nature, but it does help reduce obesity, which we heard is a leading cause or a contributor to cancer. But it also is a leading contributor to diabetes and heart disease and so many other health issues. And so I would encourage folks to get creative at home, buy cheap fruits and vegetables. Not all of them are expensive. Something like a banana is not an expensive food, but it offers nourishment. Some of those processed foods certainly are not the best for us, even though they're convenient. You can toss it in the microwave and you can run out to your busy lives and get your kids to soccer or to wherever. That healthy fruit and vegetable is going to be a better opportunity for you in the long run.
I never understood why organic costs more. It's just too expensive to stay alive. But you're right. That's one of the things we also bring fresh produce with the 513 relief bus.
Buying organics is certainly a luxury, and it's something that not everyone can do. And I would say don't let that be the barrier. A fresh banana is delicious and it's awesome all the time, even if it's not organic. And the same for an apple, and the same for various whole grain foods. Organic's better in some instances, but it shouldn't be the barrier. You shouldn't not eat whole grains and vegetables because you can't afford it organic.
Doc, we just lost D'Angelo. And a lot of people on their Facebook, they're just younger people who feel like, he's just turned 51. But people are saying, oh my God, if it happened to D'Angelo, do I have a chance? Pancreatic cancer is something we don't talk enough about. I was with one of the ladies that deal with pancreatic cancer awareness, and she indicated that if you can catch it early, you can fight pancreatic cancer. But it's a myth out there. As soon as you get pancreatic cancer, it's over. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, Alicia, with regard to pancreatic cancer. First of all, we have been working hard for 20, 25 years just trying to dispel the myth that cancer is a death sentence. So I just want to start with that. Clearly, when we have developed so many screening opportunities for cervical cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, colorectal cancer, and prostate cancer, we've gone a long way just in terms of my career since the early 80s. And still, we don't have a screening for pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer, just by its own location in your body, is a difficult diagnosis. There really is no screening test for it. And in most instances, pancreatic cancer is almost an incidental finding where the doctors were looking for something else and they happened to notice that there was a problem and it happened to be pancreatic cancer. In addition, pancreatic cancer has not been easy to treat simply because it has not responded well to radiation and chemotherapy and the traditional types of treatments. And so I don't want to say that pancreatic cancer is a death sentence, because I got a lady that goes to church with me, has been living 12 years after a diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. So hope is still alive. But pancreatic cancer is one of the sneakiest cancers that there is that we know of. And clearly, there is not a screening process for that. But I would say to you that if you are going and having any of your other screenings done, when you go to the doctor, that means you have access to having your blood pressure checked, your sugar checked, determine if you're diabetic, all kinds of possible precursors to different diseases. And so what it says to you is that when you're talking about preventing pancreatic cancer, it means you should be accessing the healthcare system and going to the doctor on a regular basis. And really that is where we make inroads, because we're just not yet ready to have a screening process for pancreatic cancer. So let's just do our overall cancer screenings in our overall health care. And then if you happen to have pancreatic cancer, maybe your incidental finding will occur. I would say this for a person 50 years old, and I get it and I understand it. I had prostate cancer when I was 47, and I was a doctor already for 20 years, and I'll be honest, I had not been to the doctor myself. I hadn't been to the doctor myself. So I'm just like all the rest of us out here. But once I was informed and once I found that I had something, now I go everywhere on a regular basis and get everything done all the time. But what I'm saying to us is that we must be proactive and do preventative care just in general. And perhaps if you happen to get pancreatic cancer at 50, maybe if you've been going to the doctor, some other reason perhaps would have found your pancreatic cancer incidental.
Our final question, let's go to the survivors, because we've got so many here, and there's a lot that you go through when you get diagnosed. Now you have to make some decisions. And I'll tell you, even when I went to get my mammogram, I went to get it, and they said, we'd have to check again, because like you said, they wasn't sure if it was fatty tissue or something else. And I went out there, and all of a sudden, everything was so very calm. They've got the nice music, and I got nervous. I said, they're not as loud as they are at the doctor's office. Everybody's whispering. I said, oh Lord. And they put you in the little, I call it little closet to get, put your gown on. And I broke down to my knees, because I remember my grandma used to say, go to the closet and pray. And I went into deep prayer, because I said, man, it's a little too quiet, a little calm. Everybody's calm. And they said, once you get done, go back to the little closet and someone will come and see you. And I was praying and praying. I said, oh Lord, oh Lord. I said, my family can't take this again. We lost Mama, I can't. And they knocked on the door, and when she said, oh, it's what we thought, it was just some fatty tissue. I said, thank you, and got out of there. But the whole place is, I haven't seen anything that quiet except when I go get the massage. They had the music and everything. Talk about what goes to the brain of a of a survivor, because I was there when the doctor told my mom, I almost passed out. I've been in the rooms when they said it's prostate cancer and we ain't gonna be able to, do this and do that. And then sometimes, to the doctors, not my doctor, of course, but to some of the doctors, because it's a matter of fact, they said, they told one of my family members, you made it 70 years, you just should be happy, and I'm looking, and they looking, and they said, we was hoping we'd get to 100. I mean, what are you talking about? They said, so some of the younger doctors are like, congratulations, you made it to 70. Talk about the mindset and what you do what goes through the minds of survivors when they are diagnosed with cancer.
Well, I had a little bit of a different perspective, in part because I was also a doctor. But I can tell you that really didn't help. Except I knew what the treatments were, and that's about it. Everybody who comes in who's newly diagnosed, it's a little bit of shell shock. And when people have high anxiety, and we all do, when this happens, it's important to have somebody else with you there, because your anxiety, believe it or not, those hormones affect your memory. And you may think you remembered every single thing they said. Try to remember an hour later. You can't. It's really, really hard. So sometimes it's important to come with a little list of questions you might have. You may not even have questions at first. At first, it's good to find out some information and then come back for a second time with your questions. Because if you don't ask the questions, you won't get the answer. There's a lot of information out there, and it's really hard to necessarily deliver that at all at one time. But it's also too much on the individual who's just been diagnosed. I think what we need to make sure of is focus on the important thing. Do I need more testing? What are my options? How long is it going to be? Do I have a good overall outcome that's expected? We call that prognosis. And what do I have to do to change my lifestyle to help improve or reduce my risk of it coming back or getting another cancer?
Let me add one thing to that. When I received the diagnosis of prostate cancer, first of all, I was 47 years old. Thought I was on that bag of chips. The only reason I even got checked was because I had a 31-year-old guy that was in my Urban League, African American Leadership Development class. And his wife was in my class, and so he came to me for a physical, and I did everything. He was 31 years old, but he said his father had prostate cancer, so I did a PSA. Blue Cross Blue Shield, his insurance sent me a thing and said I was out of compliance for ordering a PSA on a 31-year-old guy. And I was, as far as the recommendations were concerned. But his PSA came back normal, was 2.7. I called Dr. Kershaw at the urology group, and he said, he's got a father with family history, send him over. They did a biopsy, he had prostate cancer. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. So in my own lab, I had my blood drawn. Hadn't been to the doctor, in my own lab. Had my blood drawn, came back 2.7, the same number this guy kid had. So I called Kershaw, said, you better get a biopsy. Doc, you're young, but you better get a biopsy. That, usually everybody's less than one or whatever. So I had a biopsy, it was okay. I was 45. At 46, I got another PSA the next year. It was 2.9. He said, don't worry, it's not moving that much. The following year, when I was 47, my PSA was 3.1. And Curtis said, we don't have to worry about it, Doc. I said, you know what? I got a bad gut feeling. And even though I hated that biopsy, I insisted on the biopsy. And I'll tell you, it was November the 30th, and it was 1999. And it was 1:35 in the morning, and I was in my office seeing patients, and over the PA they said, Dr. Melvin, Dr. Kirsch is on the phone. And I came out of the patient room, and I said, he's either gonna set me free, or he's gonna turn my world upside down. And all he said was, Keith, I can't believe it. They found cancer. And I had this feeling that went from the bottom of my feet all the way up, and it seemed like it went out of my top of my head. And all I thought to myself was, God, I might not even get to be 50 years old. It was a tremendous nerve-wracking experience, and the impact on my whole life and being was tremendous. And it didn't matter that I was a doctor. It didn't matter who I was or who I thought I was, bag of chips or whatever.
He still thinks he's a bag of chips.
But, so it was just that kind of feeling. And I would say, I bet to all of the survivors that are out here, when they told you that, at that moment, it's a common denominator. It's turned your world upside down, and you're just not sure where you're going from that moment to the next. It's a tremendous thing. Thank God, 25 years later, I'm still on God's wake-up list.
Well, we're going to wrap up on that note, on that testimony. We've got a lot of testimonies in this room. And as you can see, even if you're a doctor, cancer, cancer doesn't care. And it's so important. I want to thank our health commissioners. We're partnering with you all, and thank you. I want you all to sign up for that shareholders meeting, stakeholders meeting before you leave, because we need to find out what is this by neighborhood. In addition, we have a call to action. A call to action. We've got to bring people to get screened, and one of our commitments is we're going to try to have the bus and bring the screenings to the community like we've been doing at no cost. We want to cut down the barriers because early detection is it. The second thing is we've got to come together collectively. There should be more funds. Hopefully they don't keep cutting them in Washington. But there should be more funds coming here because we have the numbers that show the state of Ohio money should be coming down here because we have the numbers that are too high. And if we have the numbers that are too high, we need the resources. We need more research, we need more clinical trials, we need more funding, and we need to get together for a cure. That's very, very important. There's some other questions, and I know people have given me about radiation and chemotherapy, which is very, very tough. I've got a friend right now who has gone over to Africa because she has liver cancer and she doesn't want to do the radiation. They claim there's something over in Africa that they're doing, some experimental things, but we have to look globally to find out what are the best processes for fighting this cancer. So let's give all of our panelists a big round of applause. Thank you all very much. Now it's time to honor the organizations and survivors. We've got a proclamation. I want y'all to give it up for my staff. They've done an excellent job. Reyes Stevens, my chief of staff, Jackie Taggart Boyd. Okay, we got 2 cars of fire people here. So 2 cars in police, the police are right here with us. 2 cars in the fire zone. Nissan JYF 4383. And then we got a Nissan KEL 3012. If you can move your car, please, 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 please. Okay, we got the proclamation. Is our special guest here yet? I don't think he made it yet. He is here, okay. First and foremost, I'm gonna turn this off. Okay. First and foremost, we have a proclamation signed by all 3 commissioners. And find it here. This person I wanted to honor this year, who has been very incredibly active. You watch him on TV. I started watching him early in the morning. He kept my mother going because as she was fighting this breast cancer, I would call her in the morning. She said, I gotta call you back. Rob's on TV. I'm your daughter. I'll get back to you. Rob's talking right now. I said, Rob's talking? Yeah, Fox 19. Call me back. Call me back after 9 o'clock. Rob's on. And it kept her going. She'd wake up every morning and watch Rob on Fox 19. And Rob has gone on now. He can sleep in the morning. That's why he said it's a lot for him to be here today. He's on at night. He's at 6 o'clock or 4 o'clock all the way to. I waited till he signed off so I wouldn't have him feel bad that he had to get up early. So he said, and that's it tonight. I said, okay, Rob, I'm going to bed too. But Rob has been a pillar in our city. But what you may not know is that Rob has been very active with the organization Zero Prostate Cancer. He donated his time. He hosted the walks and events. He talked about it on TV. But it's different when it hits you. And so he said, while I'm here, I'll go ahead and get tested. I know I probably don't have nothing, but I'll get tested. And it broke my heart when he said, Rob is on the morning show. I said, what's Rob doing up this early? And he has a very important announcement. I said, no, you better not be leaving us now. I'm not going to tolerate that. And he announced that they found prostate cancer. And so now he's been on a journey to get early detection. And so this proclamation, our first proclamation, will go to Rob Williams. I'm going to read it. Rob Williams has served the greater Cincinnati community with professionalism, integrity, and compassion for nearly 3 decades as a trusted journalist.
Can someone make sure that we set cameras here? Is that Matthew? We set cameras here, but I don't know if they're gonna get here on time. So if someone can take a picture of this and email it to me, I can put it on TV.
I got you.
But I don't want this moment to pass without it being recorded. Go ahead, girl.
My people should be over here recording too. We got all the paparazzi, everybody here, what I call them, the street reporters. Everybody here, get your cameras down. Okay, we're gonna start it again. Whereas Rob Williams has served the greater Cincinnati community with professionalism, integrity, and compassion for nearly 3 decades as a trusted journalist and evening anchor at Fox 19 Now. Rob Williams' distinguished career has been marked by a deep commitment to truth, empathy, and community service, keeping viewers informed through historic moments, from groundbreaking news events to stories that unite and uplift our region. Whereas Rob Williams courageously shared his personal journey with prostate cancer, using his public platform to shine a light on the importance of early detection, testing, and men's health awareness. And whereas through his honesty and vulnerability, Rob Williams has inspired men across our community to know your number, to take the simple but life-saving step of getting a PSA blood test to detect prostate cancer early. Somebody back in the room? Thank you. Whereas his message has brought greater visibility to a disease that affects more men. Justin, is this good?
Yes.
Okay. Whereas his message has brought greater visibility to a disease that affects more men in the United States than any other type of cancer except non-melanoma skin cancer, empowering families with knowledge and courage, life-saving conversation. Try this. Okay, try this. And whereas Rob Williams continues to serve as a role model, MC, and advocate at the Zero Prostate Cancer Run Walk, honoring those in the fight and remembering those that we lost, reminding us all that awareness, early testing, and compassion saves lives. Rob's message of advocacy and unwavering positivity exemplifies the very best of the human spirit and body, and embodies the power of using one's voice to create change and bring hope to others. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners, on behalf of its residents and the entire community, recognize Rob Williams for his bravery, advocacy, and commitment to saving lives through awareness and action. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Hamilton County does hereby proclaim, it's gonna be tomorrow, October 16th, 2025, as Rob Williams Day in all of Hamilton County and signed by all 3 commissioners.
I just want to say a couple of things. Number one, you should know your number. I was like Dr. Melvin. I was like, well, man, my number's always been very low, right? And you get a high number, you're like going, man, that's not true, right? I have prostate cancer. I'm at a 6. You should know your number. You should know your number. You should know your number. Ma'am, all the men in your life who's over 45 should know his number. It's a simple blood test. God has given us a blessing, the slowest growing cancer on planet Earth. So there's no reason that we, specifically black males, can't get in front of this, number one. Number two, I've hosted the Zero Prostate Cancer Run in the past, and the only reason I made the announcement was because I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I thought it would be weird to host the Zero Prostate Cancer Run without admitting my diagnosis, right? And it seems like we're talking about it now, and I was walking around downtown Cincinnati, and someone was yelling out of a car and said, what's your number, right? So we need to ask ourselves that question, number one. Number two, this is an early lift for me, because I was on set like at midnight last night. However, Alicia Reese, her dad, and her mom have been like family to me since I arrived in this town 30 years ago. So there's nothing that you would ask me to do that I wouldn't do. I love you guys. And what's important, I love the people in this room. I love Cincinnati, Ohio. And by being here, you all make this place a better place for all of us in which to live. So thank you. I'm tired.
Okay, we're gonna give you the real proclamation. This is the one I could read. And we have the real one. Also, get your eyes checked. Let's get a picture. Here we go.
Uh-oh. I got that. You don't have to bend down either when I'm around. Thank you. No, thank you. Good seeing you.
Okay, y'all give it up, Rob Williams Day tomorrow. Our next proclamation goes to organizations and groups who have been great advocates. So I'm gonna read the proclamation. I'm reading the names, and then we're gonna call the names up. You'll each get a copy with your name for the proclamation. It says, whereas in 1985, the American Cancer instituted National Breast Cancer Awareness Month as an annual campaign to raise awareness about the impact of breast cancer and to encourage women to get regular mammograms. Whereas the National Breast Cancer Foundation estimates 1 in 8 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, an estimated 42,000 women and men die from breast cancer annually in the U.S. Breast cancer is the most common cancer in American women aside from skin cancer, and on an average, every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with cancer in the United States. And according to the CDC, 1 out of every 100 breast cancer diagnoses in the U.S. occurs in men. In 2025, there are over 4 million breast cancer survivors in the United States. Yes, survivors, including those still undergoing treatment and those who have completed treatment. Whereas Hamilton County in 2024 hosted its first annual State of Cancer event, recognizing the significant efforts of healthcare professionals, cancer survivors, advocates, and organizations dedicated to cancer prevention, treatment, and research with on-the-spot health services. Now, here we go. Whereas in Hamilton County, the following organizations and partners continue to support cancer patients in the fight for conducting vital research for a cure and educating the community about the importance. Here are the organizations, and when I call your name, will you come forward? Okay, Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. Give them a kind round of applause. Okay, the American Cancer Society. If you're here, come on up. Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. UC Health. The Barrett Center. Go ahead, give them the proclamation. The Barrett Center. Tri-Health. Mercy Health. Sinai Temple number 59, Shriners and Court number 35, Daughters. Daryl, you coming up? The Susan G. Komen Foundation. The Cincinnati Police Department, there was Tri-Health. The Cincinnati Fire Department. The Bunce Family Foundation. The Black and White Cancer Survivors Foundation. BI3 Fund. The First Ladies of Health. Mr. B. Greg Billinger. Obama, come forward. First Lady Lynch, okay, I see you. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Hamilton County Commissioners, on behalf of its residents and the entire community, encourages all residents and community members to recognize the significance of breast cancer awareness, early detection, and the vital role of support systems for individuals and families affected by this disease. We commend the ongoing efforts of the healthcare professionals, researchers, and advocacy organizations in this fight against breast cancer and urge everyone to participate in educational initiatives, screenings, and support networks to foster a healthier and more informed community. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Hamilton County, Ohio does hereby proclaim October 2025 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month.